Alright, so wanted to just go ahead and make a video, as we're approaching, the beginning of the coming next year. I just kind of wanted to make a review video, Mgtow review video, talking about a few things to kind of keep in mind as we move into this next year, and why we're going our own way, and going to make this kind of a Mgtow review video for all of the people that already know about Mgtow, but for those who don't or new to the community, this will be a chance to kind of explain to you why men are going their own way, and keeping Mgtow in the forefront of our minds as we move into this next new year. So also hope everybody had a good Christmas and all that other fun stuff. And anyways, let's get started. So, why are men going their own way? Well, men going their own way, there's a whole bunch of guys that come from different environments, different experiences and situations that they either found themselves in or had experienced with women, with your modern day women, that led them to make the decision that they were going to go their own way. And so I'm going to kind of explain that and just kind of, like I said, do a review. In my experiences with women, I have come to know them as being nothing but, manipulative, lying, deceitful, hypocritical, whorish, and promiscuous. I have never met any kind of extremely feminine, submissive woman in person before. I have never come across a woman that exhibited any one of those traits and actually went through with it and stuck to that kind of personality trait, so to speak. And so my experiences with women have been nothing shy of being everything that people think that they are, or have been told what women should be. I have never have come across any kind of woman that exhibited any of those traits. Only in the movies that I've ever seen something like that, and even then movies have their own agenda, and nowadays especially so. A lot of men have had very bad experiences and been put in very bad situations because of the laws and the things that have been put across to men in this modern day world that we live in. A lot of guys have been married and divorced, and because of the divorce court and the laws that surround those things, they have been put through the ringer. They've had their children taken away from them. They've had their money taken away from them. They've been abused. They have been put through the meat grinder like you wouldn't believe. The marriage is a business just like any other thing is. Marriage is an institution of business, which is why you have to have a marriage license, because a license is what you do to use business. If you want to get into business, you have to have a license. And that's why you have to go to a government building to go get a marriage license, which has to be notarized by a government clerk. And you got to sign forms and all that kind of stuff. And so it's a business transaction, and whenever you sign that thing, you're basically allowing the laws and the government and these institutions to come in and be the mediator and the third party, because you're basically signing over your agreement stating that you can't handle your business. So you have to have a contract drawn up that states that the laws and the institutions that part of what the government is involved in. And it's not just the government that is in control of everything. They're just one tentacle of the whole mechanism that we see going on of all this destruction and whatnot, and all this chaos and all this other stuff. So it's not just the government. The government is only one arm of this whole thing that's going on, but it's a controlling arm for sure. But that's why you have to have a license, and that's why it has to be done. You have to go to a government building, and it has to be notarized by a government official, a government clerk, because you're doing business, and it's a business transaction. So just keep that in mind. Whenever you get into marriage, that's what it's about. It's about a business, and every bit of that business transaction is setting you up for failure. It is designed to set men up for failure, because All a chick has to do, if she cheats, if she goes behind his back and cheats on him or screws around in the relationship, then the guy has to pay for all of the mess-ups and mishaps that woman's part of her business that she's a part of. The guy ends up having to pay all of the mishaps. You know, it's like saying that you're getting into business with a car salesman, right? And you draw up both contracts, and one part of the agreement states that you're going to get a certain kind of percentage of earnings via the cars that are sold. But if the other party messes up or screws around, well, then guess what? Not only do you have to pay him everything, but you get nothing out of it in return, and your life becomes a living hell. I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. But that's your modern-day marriage. And that's why men are not marrying anymore, and why they're discovering Mgtow. Because it's absolutely the most ridiculous thing that you could ever get yourself into with such a transaction. It's not fair. That's why men aren't doing marriage anymore. And the other reason is that I mean, my God, no woman today it comes even remotely close to being marriageable material at all. You know, I guess the idea of a marriage would be the fact that a woman is a feminine, submissive wife that stays at home, you know, the traditionalist ideal of marriage, and she raises the children. She's submissive to her wife, and she's feminine to the kids and raises them, and is motherly to the children. But there are no women today that exhibit any of those traits. Women are not responsible. They don't think about what they do. They have no consideration about the effects that their behavior has on society or a relationship for that matter. And the mainstream media and the news and the music and all this other stuff perpetuates that by saying that women, you know what, yeah, you can go out and screw around and cheat on your husband, it's no big deal. And then they've turned that perversion into a fantasy of this whole cuckolding garbage. It's disgusting. And so it's all just designed to set men up for failure and to destroy the family. These institutions of marriage, there are no women that qualify under any circumstance that are marriageable material anyway. You know, there's a YouTuber, his name was Mgtow is Freedom. He has a survival prepper channel that I follow, but he said something a while back in a video. He said no women have ever been marriageable material, which is why, you know, marriage was an institution set up for the wealthy to continue, I guess, building that wealth and allowing the offspring to generate and continue, you know, have kids and keep building the family business and keep the legacy going, so to speak. But no women have ever been marriageable material whatsoever. And so what would happen back in those days is that a man's father would go out and try to find him a wife for that very purpose, but she had to exhibit a certain amount of traits to be qualified, because she would be a co-partner in this business of marriage to continue such a legacy. I mean, if you had a family of you know, that worked really hard and had a good amount of income and had a lot of assets and whatnot, that did well for themselves, you wouldn't just want anybody coming in there and messing things up. You want a very specific kind of person to be able to carry themselves a certain way to represent the family. Yeah, no women today are that quality or even come close to being a representative to that regard at all. Not at all. And so marriage is completely out of the question today for young men and for guys out there because of all those things. The second thing the second reason men are going their own way and completely disregarding women and not engaging with women at all is number one, the courting and the dating process today is a complete joke. It is a complete ridiculous waste of time. You know, as men, we've all been on the online dating scenes. We've all been on Plenty of Fish and OkCupid. We've all tried to hook up with chicks on there. We've all been through it before. We've all been there. And we know what happened when we did that. And we tried it many, many times. We gave it a whole bunch of chances, and we all knew that it was a complete waste of time. Not only do the quality of women on those sites are so horrible, but, you know, I made a video about modern-day dating. I said, you know, women today exhibit sociopathic traits. You know, they exhibit sociopathic traits. Go on Google and type in profile or traits of a sociopath. Go read all of those traits and tell me if that's not your modern day women today. I'll link that video that I did below, and I'll let you guys see what I'm talking about. So the modern day women today, when you go on these dating scenes or dating period, is a laughing joke. It's so ridiculous. None of those women are any kind. You wouldn't want to be caught dead with any of those women. You know, you wouldn't want to be caught dead with any of those women. I'm pretty sure all of you guys out there have been through the modern day dating scene, and you know what kind of chicks are on those sites. Mainly single mothers who, number one, automatically don't qualify for any kind of relationship because they couldn't keep a family together, which means that they're unqualified to handle marriage. And if they're unqualified to handle a marriage, then what makes you think they're going to be qualified to even be in a relationship, for God's sake? Do you see how ridiculous it is? And so you're dealing with sociopathic and narcissistic women, and also the mainstream media and the music and the news and all this other stuff is promoting it and making it look like it's a okay or fun thing to do. And these women are going out and doing it, and participating in promiscuous behavior. They dress like whores. They wear low-cut tops, and they show off their ass and all this crap. I mean, what kind of faithfulness or responsibility or of any of that nature do you think that's going to be healthy in terms of raising children or a family when mom is showing her ass and fucking tits? It's such perversion. We live in such a perverted environment. I've said this several times before. The reason why the traditionalist institution, the traditionalist way of having a family is not going to work these days is because the environment that we live in is perverted and it's sick, and people are just dumb and stupid and insane. So what makes you think that a woman, especially a young girl in her early 18s and 20s, is going to carry herself in such a way when all this crap is going on? Especially younger guys out there in their early 20s, what makes you think that they're going to be even remotely come close to being anything in the near future of being a committed wife or having children whatsoever? So this is why men are not engaging in marriage. This is why they're not dating women anymore, and this is why they're not fucking women anymore, because it's a complete waste of time, and it's not fun anymore when you got to deal with all the stuff you got to deal with. It's not fun having to go and get rejected all the frickin' time by women who think not only are overweight and don't keep themselves in shape, but are single mothers, which shows that they couldn't handle themselves in a long-term relationship anyway. And not only that, but to expect a man to pay for somebody else's kid that she had, which is probably not very good quality of person that person was with, for the fact of why they're on Plenty of Fish, for God's sake. What kind of kid do you think that's going to be? What kind of kid do you think is going to grow up, and how they're going to grow up when their mom is out on Plenty of Fish, talking to a whole bunch of guys out there that want to fuck her in the ass and shit? I mean, good Lord, come on. These are just one of many reasons why men are going their own way and why men are not engaging with women. It's not worth it anymore. Women have nothing to offer men. They're not submissive, they're not feminine, and women look like men now. This is why movies and all these in games and stuff now. I have an Xbox. I got an Xbox, and I was playing Battlefield 1, and one of the characters in the game is a woman, and also a lot of games now feature women in this role of being in the position of man. And so what you find is this inversion of the roles, this inversion of women being in the position of man and men being submissive to woman. It's completely evil and perverted. But it's set up for destruction. Another thing is that when you want to look at the reasons for feminism, it was designed to destroy the family. But there's also another reason that last night I was watching this video. And it's crazy, but one of the main reasons why I'm just trying to figure out the best way I can explain this. One of the reasons why the feminist agenda and why this whole eugenics movement of selective breeding, so to speak, where the government came in and allowed and gave women money, and why the media and all these other institutions are trying to push women to go for certain kinds of men or not, or certain attributes or qualities that are not, good attributes or qualities at all. It's because, women are, well, of course they give birth, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to pump out enough cannon fodder to throw into whatever agenda that these people are trying to sway this whole institution of the sexes and marriage and family and all this stuff. They're putting women in a position to pump out cannon fodder so that the institutions and these agendas can put in their people, basically, like I said, as cannon fodder. Pump out as many as you can. This is why I think a lot of the reasons why there's so much rampant single motherhood in this country today is because they're just trying to pump out as much cannon fodder for useful idiots to complete their agenda. Because when you don't have a stable family, then you're going to have complete chaos and psychological problems amongst young kids. And what happens is, the way that this world is set up, they tend to lean towards going towards certain kinds of lifestyles and things of that nature due to the fact that they didn't have a healthy upbringing. Gang-related activity, selling drugs, all this kind of stuff. And when you do that, you're building those institutions of corruption that are manipulated by higher powers of the people that run this whole thing. And so then they become the useful idiots, and it's just cannon fodder for the fire. That's all they're doing. I think that's one of the main reasons why we see so much rampant epidemic of single mothers. It's just the manipulation of what an agenda is trying to complete here. But that's on a side note. These are the many reasons why men are going their own way. This is the many reasons why men have decided not to engage with modern day women today, because not only are they sociopathic and exhibit those traits, but they're so far from what men have been told what a woman should be, a submissive housewife and submissive to her husband and all those other attributes, feminine, dresses nice and keeps herself in shape and acts a certain way and acts feminine, and doesn't act like a man and carries herself a certain way. Those attributes don't exist. Another reason why is because, like I've said before, the traditionalist way that we have come to know it as, that is the healthiest way to raise a family, because you have all the right pieces of the pie that are put together that allow the raising of a healthy family. When you mess that up, then you're going to have complete destruction. There is a natural order to the way that things should work, and people keep getting in the way of allowing the natural order of things to just take its course, and they keep messing everything up for everybody. And that's why the whole traditionalist thing isn't going to work, because we live in a sick environment, and any young girl, especially if you're a young guy out there, or a middle-aged guy, or whatever, you're not going to find any kind of quality attributes in any of those women today, because they're participating in a perverted, satanic, evil environment of nothing but perversion and homosexuality and all of this garbage. You're not going to raise a healthy society that way, which is why America is doomed. And it doesn't matter who gets into office. The amount of stuff that the government would have to, not only just the government, like I've said, it's not just the government, but it's a big proponent in the control of people. All of those institutions would have to go bye-bye forever, and you would have to make sure that they go bye-bye. And part of that institution is the institution of the political presidential process as well. People relying on somebody else to do the job for them when they're responsible for what happens to themselves. Why are you relying on somebody else to do the job for you? Nobody in that position of authority, especially in that position of authority, number one, they have people that control them. They're not free speakers or thinkers. It's just not how it works. I've studied enough about how all this stuff works to know that's just not the case. No matter what people say, they'll get. A lot of people get caught up into it because it's playing on people's wants for a savior and for hope, the Hegelian dialectic. And so people put all their faith into these people thinking that they're going to change everything when they're not. These people are so far from model citizens that you couldn't even believe. Of course, they're going to say and talk all the talk because that's how they get public opinion to be on their favor. You know, that's just how it works. So, of course, they're going to say whatever you want to hear. That's what politicians do. And some are better at convincing other people than others. You know, and it's all part of an agenda. You have to realize that. So all of these institutions would have to completely go in order for a reestablishment and a healing process to take place. And I just don't think that's going to happen, guys. I really don't. The damage has been done so badly in America and in the world. The damage has been done so badly here, especially in America. I mean, what are you going to do with all the single moms and all the gang members and all the thugs and all the people that are the outcasts and not, you know, not in the outcast of saying that people think differently, but in the outcast of saying that these people are downright scum of the earth. You know, what are you going to do with all those people? You know, they have so, the culture has so ingrained people to think that way now. To reverse that is it's almost impossible. You know, these things were not designed to fix. They were designed to destroy. And destroy permanently. That's what these institutions of feminism and all of these perversions were designed to do. It was designed to destroy. Not to fix or not to mess things up and then you can just reorder it and fix it. It was designed to completely, permanently disrupt and destroy and cause chaos. That's what those institutions and those ideals are designed to do. It's designed to ruin everything forever. That's why they did it. Okay? That's why they did it. This is why men are going their own way, because who has the energy or the time to put up, I mean, with any of this, you know, modern day dating at all? You know, if you're a young guy out there, you'd have to go through probably anywhere between 100 to 200 women to find this so-called new Walt that people always seem to talk about, which doesn't exist because the environment is sick. And by the time you get done going through 100 or 200 rejections and you know, emotional barragement of how women treat men and all the nasty and hurtful things that they say to men, by the time you get done going through all of that, you have become, you're so jaded and cynical with the whole process. If such woman ever was to come along, what would you be able to contribute without having that impact you psychologically, and then that come and bring that into a relationship? How is that going to work? You know, it is, like I've said, it's not designed for things to work. It's designed for things to destroy. This whole system that is designed around modern day dating is designed to completely destroy the natural order of how things should work here. When it comes down to dating and men and women getting together and having a family or whatnot. So the damage has been done. And that's another reason why men are going their own way. I think a lot of guys might not, you know, they might not see exactly, or might not have the exact words to put to describe what's going on. But the point is that it's just not worth it anymore. And to think that any guy has the energy or the time to put up with all that. I mean, who wants to sit there and just get abused and rejected all the time, all to find a woman to be with? You know, who wants to put up with the narcissistic and sociopathic behavior of your modern day women? And this is why guys that are even younger now are going their own way, because they know what it's like. Because they're starting to, as you know, guys get older, you all chase girls and all this stuff. But what they're finding out is that all these girls do is they talk trash and they start drama and they play on their phones and they go on social media and there is no responsibility or accountability for anything that they do. What kind of nobody wants to be with that kind of person at all. They are hopeless. They are gone. They're zombified. They're zombies. They've been brainwashed into believing a certain kind of way, and there's no coming back from that. because it's designed for them to be permanently in that state. That's why there's no change going on, and that's why things are not going to get better, in my opinion. Because there's so much damage that has been done on so many different levels. You know? And you're just going to have to realize that, you know? And so that's why men are dropping out of engaging with women altogether. That's why I decided to completely remove women from my life and from the picture completely. Because number one, part of the benefit that I've had is I don't have to put up with any of that. I've already gone through enough of that to tell you that I don't want to go through that again. You know, I'm so turned off by women today. And the rejection of the modern day dating when I was, you know, in my early teens and even when I was in my early 20s, you know, 21, that every time I look at a woman now, I can't help but to think about what's going to happen, because time and time again, it has been proven to me, and I've tried to disprove it many times, you know, that women are not going to change, and it doesn't matter what woman is which, they're still going to act the same way that they always do. And so every single time I try to disprove this with myself, I always end up, I can't. You know, I can't disprove the things that I state in my videos about women being sociopathic. Every time I start listing those traits and I start talking to a woman, or a woman is talking and I hear something, every single time that happens, those traits just keep coming up over and over and over again. I can't disprove it. That's just unfortunately how it is, guys. I can't disprove the nature of what's going on. And so as we move into this new year, if you're new to the Mgtow scene, I wanted to make this video to share with you guys why men are going their own way. The game is stacked against us, and it's over with. It's done. Leave it behind you. You know, go play Xbox, go work hard, and go do what you got to do. I get more satisfaction playing video games and getting the satisfaction from completing a hard level. You know, I enjoy those hobbies. I get my satisfaction by completing something difficult and seeing me complete something. I get great satisfaction from that. And so that's what I do to keep my mind occupied away from all of this other stuff that everybody else seems to get caught up into. You know, I've also mentioned before, you don't want to go with where the masses are going. Don't do what everybody else is doing, because when you do that, you're going to find that the masses never go the right way, because they are being led by something else. They're being led to go a certain way. They're not making those decisions for themselves. They're locked into a programming. They've been programmed to act a certain way. And some people break that programming versus other people. You know? So this is why Mgtow exists. This is why men are going their own way. And I think it is a good thing to do. You know, it's the only thing we can do, is to completely disregard women. Completely disregard them. They have nothing to offer us. They have nothing to offer us other than a massive headache, destruction of our emotional sanity, our well-being, and everything that men have ever worked hard for in their life will be taken from them in a moment's notice by engaging with these women. And it's not just even in marriage now. It's just getting with them in a dating relationship anyway. They can accuse you of all kinds of stuff, and the law responds to women first and foremost without ever considering what happened. So you no longer just have to have marriage to be the one to destroy and take everything from you. That it's not just that anymore. It's just being around them altogether. Listen, women have turned to wickedness. If you want to look at it like this whole Jezebel spirit, that spirit is run rampant in your modern day women. Abortion and hating of humanity and wanting to see things destroyed. They have turned to wickedness. And there is nothing for you to be around them any longer. It's a sad state of affairs. The world isn't pretty and the truth isn't pretty. But that's just how it is. And so on a final note, the best thing I can tell you guys is to avoid women altogether. Just leave them out of your mind. Leave them out of your mind. Don't even think about them. Don't even bring them into your mind, because there's nothing good that can come out of any of these modern day women that you see running around today. They have turned to wickedness. They are participating in this Jezebel spirit that is run rampant in this country, that is destroying every little bit of good that ever still exists. And so that's why you don't need to participate in that anymore, because there is nothing good to come out of that. Nothing. Nothing at all. In the end, I think that they're going to pay. I think everybody pays for what ill wills they do. I think people pay. I believe in something called karma. I believe that if you really do horrible things to people, and I mean really horrible things to people, you're going to pay for it. You're really going to pay for it. I think women are going to pay for what they've done. Like I said before, I believe that there is a creator, and I don't think he takes too kindly to what women are doing to men. I don't think so. Because I think he knows that, this wasn't the way that it was supposed to be. I don't know those things, but all I can say is I think that, they're paying for what they're doing, what they have, the path that they have decided to choose by being in league with this whole Jezebel spirit type of thing. By being in league with that, they already have set themselves up for their own destruction by deciding to go down that path. Because no guys, as we've seen today, and this is why men are completely leaving women out of the picture altogether. When I go out in public and I'm around women, I don't look them in the eyes. I don't look at them. I do what I got to do, and I move on. I don't even give them attention because they don't even deserve me. They are so far from deserving anything that men has even worked hard or can provide for women. They deserve absolutely zero, zilch, nothing, nada, nil, nothing. They deserve nothing that men have worked hard to achieve. They deserve nothing because of the path that they have decided to become and what they have decided to be in league with. And so I think that they're going to pay the price for it, and this is why Mgtow is coming about. And I think on one facet of it, they're paying the price because men are just going to be like, you know what, we don't want anything to do with you anymore because you're out of control, you're narcissistic, you're freaking insane, you're a sociopath, you hate humanity, you kill your children, and then you go around and you accuse us of being the ones that cause the problems. That is a demonic mentality. If you want to look at it like that, that's a demonic spiritual mentality that women are participating in. They're participating and they're being in league with this whole demonic element of hating men and trying to be above man. If there's any fiber of their being that screams out that this isn't the right way to go and that maybe this is wrong, and they know it and they're willfully doing it, then I guess they deserve to be in suffering for what they've done. I'm not one to say who gets to, how they're going to suffer any of that stuff. That's not my authority to even begin to do that, because I think you're kind of playing God when you do that, saying that women are going to burn and suffer and all this other stuff. But nonetheless, they are suffering for what they're going to do, I think, because it's just it's not right what they're doing. It's just not right. So anyways, to sum all that up, that's why men are going their own way. The institutions of marriage is nothing more than a business that is set up against men, designed for men to completely, you're fighting a losing battle when you're dealing with any modern day woman today. There's nothing for them they have nothing to offer us. It's time to hang it up with the women. Let them all go. Let it go. Let it go, and that's the best we can do, guys. Let it go. So as we move into this new year, don't even pay attention to women. Don't even look them in the eyes. Don't even look at them. Don't hold the door open for them. Just do what you got to do. Keep your nose to the grindstone. Work hard. And I think in the end, if you believe in karma or any of these other things, I think that what's going to happen is that not only are they going to get what they deserve because of the things they've done, I think everybody's going to get what they deserve in the end. I think, like I've said, I think people are going to pay differently for it. Obviously, it's different if you're a murderer in a karmic sense, you're going to have to pay differently than somebody who lies. But that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother thing. But just leave them out of the picture, guys. Play your Xbox. Go work out. Go outside. Have fun. Talk with other Mgtows. Make content. Do whatever you got to do, but don't engage with women. Let them wallow in their own creation of what they've decided to do. You know, that's on them. You know, I don't want to be responsible for somebody else. And here's one other final reason why men are going their own way, and maybe if you haven't, why you need to go your own way and you need to take it up a notch and completely take women out of the picture. You don't want to be responsible for somebody else's decisions in their life by paths or beliefs that they have decided to impart that are wrong beliefs and things that hurt people. You don't want to be responsible because there's something called guilty by association. And I think that is pretty much fair to say why you shouldn't be around these women. Because in a lot of ways, you're guilty by association. Because you knew that woman acted a certain way. You knew that the behavior that person exhibited from the start and those warning signs that you should have seen before you decided to take that plunge. You're guilty by association because you knew that there was something wrong with it, but you did it anyway. You know, and then you're going to get caught up in her drama, which is the problem that guys find themselves getting caught up into. They get dragged into all of the melodramatic, narcissistic ways that women in the modern day world behave. You know, this country is done. This whole world is in shambles, and it doesn't matter who's the president or anything, because they all work together. If you haven't figured that out yet, then I can't help you. That's something that you're going to have to do for yourself. You know, so this world is in shambles. Our environment is sick, and that's why the traditionalist mentality isn't going to work. And it isn't going to raise a woman to be a moral, respectful, feminine woman, because another reason why is the lack of good motherhood in families is non-existent due to this feminist Jezebel spirit type of invasion that has gone on in the minds of women and participating in it and doing it. They don't care. So there's no point of trying to convince them. There's no point in getting yourself frustrated over it because they don't care, and they're not going to care because they don't have to suffer any kind of repercussions for what they're doing. So don't get yourself all worked up and frustrated over this. You know, you just keep your nose to the grindstone, keep your head screwed on straight, and do what you got to do and do what you find fun. And let them suffer in their own misery. Let them suffer in their own misery because they're going to cause their own suffering by what they've decided to go and believe in.